Right, the NZB yearling sale starts today, February 15th, a couple of hours away, but great to catch up with an international guest, Nancy Takter. Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Welcome to New Zealand. It was a lovely morning. This is what happens in New Zealand. It could be nice in another hour or two, but the clouds have come over. But how are you enjoying your first experience here at the Karaka complex?
It's absolutely a beautiful complex, quite impressive actually. It's relatable to Fazzy Tipton in Lexington, Kentucky. I think it's kind of similar to what we have there.
Yeah. Some of the guys that you interview, they say they travel all around the world and they still love this place above anywhere else because of the feel that it has. It is a unique little venue to come to, isn't it?
Yeah, like the barns are really nice, and it's and you have ample room to look at yearlings, and they walk them nicely for you and stuff like that. So it's been a really nice experience to look at yearlings here.
We'll stay on the horses for a sec. We'll talk about some other stuff at the end of it. But impressed by the quality of the stock that you've been paraded in front of you?
I'm actually kind of maybe not familiar with the dams, but there's a lot of American pedigree. I was looking through the catalog. I think my family's trained 5 or 6 stallions of that are represented at the sale. So it's really nice to see that what happens in our farm in New Jersey in the United States has such an impact on the sport. Even down under. So it's very it's nice.
It is actually getting smaller and smaller. The world we get horses basically straight away. They come across with Bettor's Wish one here the other day. I think they started racing last year back in America. We're only probably that 6 months behind now, but it's so much easier now to keep up with it and latest trends. I imagine there's probably a few people asking about what's the next latest trend, if you like, in America, but we're not that far behind now.
No, and it's gone quick. Yeah, I trained tactical approach and cannibal, in 2023, and they're already here, and available to be bred. So down under. So like you said, it's been a quick turnaround, which I think is good for the sport overall. It's going to bring the breed forward quicker. We
need the breed. The racing's going good in America. We need it to be going everywhere. Here in New Zealand, it's very positive. In Australia, it depends which state you come from at the minute, but we need the industry to be positive and buoyant and get on the world stage.
Yeah, and I think they've done, a very good job in Australia and New Zealand. From what I see from the outside, I think they do a really good job, with their media, and the television presentations are really good from down here. And also, I feel that they do a good job involving the youth. I think we lack a little bit with that in the United States. I think we do a poor job with getting younger generations involved, and I think they do a really good job with that down here. Something, maybe that we could bring, if we're going to bring something back, I think that's something that I would bring back, maybe just, with all the promotions and stuff they do down here for younger people, and just evolving the sport forward.
It's an interesting one too, because a lot of people will say Dexter's a young person. It's one of these comments that I've heard, but young Jet Stanley went over there just recently, and he's just a whiz. I think he's driven nearly 200 winners in a year and a half. He's just hit the ground running so quickly. And I said to him, will you be heading back to America? And he said, well, no, they all told me, wait 10, 15 years, because it's not a young man's sport over there. You won't get a go until you've got a little bit of age on you, if you like. Whereas here, as soon as they get going, people just want to keep them going and get pumping them through.
Yeah, and I think, the advantage you have, junior drivers and stuff, we don't really have that where we're from. And, the younger drivers, they get their chance at smaller tracks, what we would call B tracks at home. But the problem that we're running into at home, you have Dexter Dunn and Andrew McCarthy and Todd McCarthy and Yannick Gingras and Tim Tetrick, and Scott Zeron, but besides, those 5 or 6 drivers, there's nobody. So I think we're desperately looking to get more talent. And, for me, as, I have 85 horses in training, and if I can't get Dexter or Yannick to drive my horses, it's, I'm kind of falling behind a little bit, and you scramble a little bit for drivers. So, I think I would welcome any young talent that wants to come from down under.
Yeah, I said Stanley before. He's a jockey. Jet Turnbull was the guy I was talking about. There's 2 Jets, and I get them confused a lot. That's actually interesting. So that'll, a few people will go from there. Stay on the expats. You got Mitch Barker working for you as well. He's local. I know him very, very well. So a few of the Aussies are working behind the scenes too, if you like.
Yeah, they do a good job, and it's like I said, they have interest, and they're interested in the sport, which is nice. We've done a poor job with that in the United States, so there isn't a lot of, staffing, just trying to staff my barn. You have to look a little internationally because we don't have that in the United States. So, we get a lot of European help and down under people that are, looking for a new opportunity, and, we're able to get J1 visas where they could come for a year, and, you don't have to stay in the United States forever, but it's nice to get away and see something different and experience something different. And even though our racing is very different from down under racing, I think you could take bits and pieces of it and it can be used to your advantage here.
The more I watch it, the more I love it. It's very strategic. It's not as simple as just get to the front, keep running and go from there. It is very strategic, and it's the one thing. And when you start watching some of these better drivers and what they do, it's very unique, your racing. I mean, people say, oh, there's not enough moves in it. There's more moves than you see. It's just a matter of popping off at the right time, not necessarily going forward or backwards, just positioning at the right time.
Yeah, I always say, with mile racing, I think a lot of the races are won in the first turn, the position that you end up in the first turn. And I think that's, what separates the great drivers from, the drivers that are getting by is they're able to get themselves in the position where they need to be in the first turn. That's going to put them in the right position in the last turn and coming for home.
Coming from home. Tactical landings. There's a few here at the sales. One, are you impressed with them? There's a couple of real standouts.
Tactical landings, I've been very fortunate. It's, I've trained 3 and they've all won Dan Patch Awards, and, even the filly this year that I had, Champagne Problem, she made $500,000 at 2. So they're lovely horses to be around, very strong and willing to do their work, which is, number one for a trainer. You want a cooperative horse, and they tend to be that. And I think also for down under racing, I think that they will do well because they've got a really good set of lungs. So I don't think the distance or anything like that would bother them.
You've got a beautiful stride, tactical approach. It is still one of the great photos. I think it's Andy McCarty's driving him, where the foot's behind the seat and actually almost looking at the sky. It's just a cracking, and that's just a magic stride. But they all seem to have that long, long stride.
Yeah, Scott Zeron drove him. Actually, yearling, who actually works for me, took that photo. It's an amazing photo, they have a very big stride, and I think that if I was going to give anybody a piece of advice on tactical landings, I think you have to be careful, because when you work them slow, they might not feel as great as they do when you put a race bike on them and you go. And I think that sometimes people get a little bit off on their horses because they're not ready to take them to the next level because they don't really feel great going slow. It's at high speed, but a Ferrari doesn't feel good going slow either. So I think you just need to take the step and push them a little bit at some point too.
They don't even have a radio on them Ferrari, so you don't worry about that. Karl, bit of news around about Karl. He's heading back to the racetrack at the minute, but there's a little bit of changing news too, if you like, with him.
So Karl's actually, the original plan was that he was going to stand stud in 2025, but unfortunately he suffered some sickness at the end of the racing season last year, and it just affected his fertility, and he just wasn't really in a good spot. So the decision was made to bring him back to racing for 2025, and hopefully he has a good season, and then we'll stand him in stud in 26. Just give him a little time. He's had a really long break. He didn't get a break between his 2 and 3-year-old year. We kept him in training the entire time, so he's gotten a really well-deserved break now. He's at my farm. He's grown a ton and filled out really nice, so I think he's going to have a really, really nice 4-year-old season.
Looking forward to that, because you train a lot of young horses, especially your 3-year-olds. Are you looking forward to this, and mapping out a program, if you like, for an older horse?
Yeah, I had Winner's Bet last year, who was 4-year-old, and he was named Trotter Age Trotter of the Year in the United States for 2024. So I think Karl will probably have a little bit of a similar schedule that Winner's Bet had last year. The 4-year-olds in the United States have very limited 4-year-old restricted races. They have the Graduate and Hamiltonian Maturity, but besides those races, they have to race against the open horses. So it's a little bit of a step up for them, and it takes a little bit of time for them to acclimate. Even with Winner's Bet, I don't think I raced him against the aged horses until late summer. Yeah. And, then he was able to take that step. So, with Karl, we gave him a big break, and, he'll probably hit the track in April. He's just kind of growing up and filling out at the point and doing a little water treadmill stuff. And then once he gets into full training, my plan would be to race him end of July, August, and then we'll see where he goes from there.
Struck up a great relationship with Brittany Graham. She's a proud Australian. She's going to be a Kiwi very, very shortly as well.
any chance we could get maybe a horse like Karl to come down in any campaign, like our summer carnival in Australia. We just had the Great Southern Star. They raced twice and won. Any chance we might be able to get you to, potentially bring one of these horses down under?
I mean, I would love it. I think it would be hard with a horse like Karl just because his stallion value would be so high. But I would love to do some international racing. Even to go to Europe would be great for me. It's a little closer than coming here, but I would be open to it. You have to have the right horse that can handle it, that can make the step. But there have been, my dad trained Mr. Feelgood that came to Australia and did really well. So, I mean, if the right horse came along, I'd be open to it.
He's done an awesome job, Mr. Feelgood. He's, and like his stallion, and he will race against the best ones. So, maybe a challenge for you. We might have to keep you going. I could talk to you forever. I hope to get to America. If I do, I'll come over and annoy you and join you at the farm. But thank you for coming out to Australia. Thank you for coming here. I know you're on a holiday, so sometimes it's it is a little bit of work. But I think it's great. Get us on the world map, if you like. And are you likely to buy a horse? You actually own a horse too, don't you? You own Tetrick. You own a Sharing Tetrick, which is quite a unique name.
I don't own a Sharing Tetrick. I own 2 2-year-olds that Brittany and her father have. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I guess I'm a sucker at the sale. I'm a big buyer, so we'll see what happens.
So if the hand goes up, it's legit.
I'm going to try not to. I own enough.
Right. I remember you bought those 2 last year. So one's by Elite Stride. I can't remember what the other one's by.
Majestic Sun.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you. Really appreciate the chat. It's random, but great to have you here. I'd like to have more time. One day. I told you this is what happens here. So it does that. Thank you very much, and all the best.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.